All right, there will be bourbon. Chicago Bears edition, mostly some baseball, some other things. You know, this individual that I'm bringing on tonight is someone who had the pleasure of running into on Chicago Bears Twitter, which, if you don't know, is a very hostile and sometimes toxic thing, but it's all love and it's funny sometimes. Um, so that is King Mac. He is behind the count Mac74King on Twitter. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. Glad to be on here.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you here. And so before we get into the night discussion, as always, it is fueled by America's native spirit, bourbon. And I'm going with the George Dickel, which is actually a Tennessee whiskey. And look, people can argue whether it's a bourbon or a whiskey because of the Tennessee process, but it's a 15-year, it's a single barrel. So as always, whatever version you find may differ. Single barrels are pretty unpredictable. Probably what I have, you won't have if you're not in my state, which you most likely are not. So that is what I got going. I don't know if my man is drinking. It doesn't matter. But that is where we're at. So do you, I think I've seen you post something once or twice about a whiskey. Is that true?
Now I'm more of a Scotch guy, so I
You're
drink
a
Macallan.
Scotch guy. All right. We'll have to
Yeah.
work on that. Okay. Do you have a favorite Scotch?
Oh yeah, Macallan. Yeah, that's
Okay.
my favorite.
See, I'm glad you mentioned it because that's what I started with years ago before I got into bourbon. I was a Scotch guy and it was Macallan. And yeah, I lost a bet to a buddy and we went to Vegas. I think this was like '06, '07, and I had to get him the Macallan, the 25 shots to that all night.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, so that was
that's pretty
fun. But
expensive. That's pretty expensive right there.
yeah,
Uh,
Vegas prices even back then. Yeah, so that was a good night. And I had just re-enlisted in the army, so I had a huge signing bonus or re-enlistment bonus. So he took a good chunk of that night. But anyway,
thank you for your service. You know.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it, brother. Thank you. All right. So no shit, there we were, as all good army stories start. No shit, there we were. So this was like 2 years ago. I think when you and I first interacted, it probably had to be when the schism, the divide, whatever it is you want to call it, of like the Justin Fields truthers, the justifiers, whatever you want to refer to them as, and those of us like yourself and myself who were like, you know what? Love the dude, but I don't know if this is it. When did you kind of start to think that way?
Well, to be honest, at first I was a big Justin Fields fan. You know,
Same. Ohio
and
State, like,
I will say this as a football fan. I could say in the beginning, I was a casual, so I didn't really understand too much about each position and then what's required of those positions and kind of because I'm a baseball guy, I like to get into the details
yeah.
of the sport. So I didn't know like the different skill sets that were needed for each position. So I was just a Fields guy. They drafted a quarterback. I felt like he was, of course, athletic. He was talented, and then you see that just the highlights as a casual from the Ohio State clips and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So, I was a big fan. I'm like, okay, finally the Bears got them one. But then as I started to get more into football and like doing my research or homework, whatever you want to call it, and I started to see that like in the past, I don't know, 40 some odd years, like only six quarterbacks who wasn't of Hall of Fame quality actually won the Super Bowl. So it kind of got me digging more, I guess, into like what's actually needed for a team to win. And I just started to see that, like to me, Justin Fields, he wasn't a Hall of Fame quality quarterback. Like he wasn't, of that elk, or he didn't have that type of talent, at the quarterback position.
Do you think it was a talent, or is it more of what most people would say? Because I don't think anyone will doubt Justin Fields' physical talent, but it's more of his inability to process what he sees on the field.
Well, I don't think it's his physical talent. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I think most of these guys at the NFL level has the physical talent
Yeah.
to play whatever position they play in. I think it's more of like the skill set. So like the footwork, his release, his ability to understand, the processing, like you said, being able to read defenses, being on time. So like little stuff like that matters. And like I said, as I started to dive more into it, I didn't see him having it. And that it's nothing against Justin Fields because
Not at all.
my thought process is I say like 20, I had this 80-20 thing with quarterbacks. So it's like 80% of the quarterbacks, no matter how you tier them, are kind of pretty much the same. Like you have to build a quality team around them in order for them to win. So things have to be almost perfect in
Right.
order for those quarterbacks to win. Whereas you have a 20%, of quarterbacks where things don't have to be perfect and they can still, carry your team to the promised line, so to speak. So to me, he's just part of that 80%, which majority of the quarterbacks in the league is a part of that 80%.
That's true. Let me go one guy back. What did you think of Trubisky when he was in town?
Oh man, I was a fan of Trubisky too.
Same.
I have some buddies that play D1 football, and
Okay.
this is like the 2018 season Trubisky was doing, and I was bragging on Trubisky, and these guys was telling me, like I said, I was a casual, and these
Mhm.
guys was telling me, like, and they Bears fans, like, man, Trubisky not it, like he's not doing, the simple stuff that's needed to be a good quarterback, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Look at his numbers; they're pretty
Yeah.
decent. You know what I mean? His numbers are some of the best numbers the Bears have seen in a modern day quarterback, especially that 2018 season. So I'm
Yeah.
like, oh,
Six
he
touchdowns
looks
in
good.
one game.
Yeah, yeah, he looked good to me. I was a fan, but like I say, I really didn't know anything about the position in order to
Okay.
make a real, judgment on how good he was or how good he wasn't.
That's fair. And so obviously, the Bears, they moved on. They had to. And I know it was kind of a last ditch attempt of the Ryan Pace era as the GM. Um, they were obviously him and Matt Nagy were let go after the season that they did draft Justin Fields. So yeah, I mean it's hard to like I never feel bad for a pro athlete, right? I mean, just be honest up front, right? Because you get that opportunity, you make of it what you get. And so the second year comes in, Ryan Poles gets hired on as GM. Matt Eberflus gets hired on as coach. Ryan Foles is clearly in a rebuild, has to tear the whole thing down. But he's got a quarterback, or at least he thinks he does, in Justin Fields, and he's given his opportunity to make the best of it. And we know what happened, right? So 10-28 as a starter. One of my funniest lines is not for me, but Tom Waddle there in Chicago in radio when they're always combating against all the people who you know would take up for Justin Fields, and it's like okay, well, which of those 10 wins was your favorite, right? Because he wasn't a winning quarterback. Whether whether you feel he was given a fair hand or he didn't have the talent around him or whatever, it's like, yeah, it's true. Like, which of those 10 wins was your favorite? Because that's what he was. He was a 10-28 quarterback. And the numbers are what they are, as you said. But so now Ryan Poles does he does what he has to do. Fields was never his guy. He didn't draft him. He's not going to stake his legacy on the backs of or on the back of Justin Fields or anybody else that really he didn't ultimately draft. So of course you get the number one pick just by the grace of the Carolina Panthers and their ineptitude. And let's go back even further to Lovie Smith. Who did Houston beat that last week to end up with the Bears getting the number one pick?
I
God,
think they beat the Colts, but I could.
yeah, no, you might be right. So yeah, so anyway, back to back number one picks. Just because Bryce Young ain't it either, and Carolina's going to figure that out. Because Houston took C.J. Stroud, and we see literally what it takes to have one quarterback, what it can do in 1 year, and I think that's where Bears fans are right now, as they drafted Caleb Williams number one overall. Have you watched Hard Knocks?
Yeah, yeah, I'm a
Okay.
fan of it. I watched every episode except for this last one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I think you'll really like, especially when they do the breakdown of the reps for Williams. But all right, so we've seen Caleb Williams now in Hard Knocks. We knew he was the number one overall pick. He came to Chicago with a lot of external hype, good and bad stuff. And I'll be honest, like I bought into a lot of dumb shit that came out about him in college when he was playing at USC. Because I'm a Michigan fan in college and a UCF fan because that's where I graduated from. But yeah, you don't know these kids in college, and you know how, you know, external influences, whether it's the draft process, whether it's just stuff being leaked to the media to kind of deter teams or to put things out about them in order for fans to consume. But, you know, Caleb Williams, in my opinion, especially after watching him on Hard Knocks, it took a lot of negative heat for whatever reason. Like I try to, you know, step back from it and think like, man, is there, I mean, of course you can't really know someone 100% from a TV show or his interviews and all, but the dude just looked like a nice young man. And I can't understand where all of that shit came from before he was ever drafted.
Yeah, I mean, what I've learned, right? So to give a little bit of my background is like
Yeah.
I've trained players in baseball and stuff like that. And what I've learned is guys who don't want to be average, like they want to be great at what they do and whatever that is, you know, they put that first. A lot of people don't understand that. So they get labeled, you know, fairly quickly because they're not like majority of the people, you know, and that's why they're great. Is because they're not like majority of us. You know, they don't want to accept average results. And not saying that average is bad, because I think people take it that way, and average is not bad because majority of people are average. That's
Yeah,
just the
most
truth.
people are. It's
So
true.
I think, you know, a lot of times we don't understand people that don't want to be average. We don't understand people that don't want to kind of fit in, or that has that drive to be the best at whatever it is that they're doing, you know. We don't understand that. So it's
I
easy
guess.
to label people like that, you know.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, and it comes out. I think it was last week something I learned about Caleb Williams when he was in high school in DC that I had no idea that, and I understand the commute, right? Because this is the area I live in, but his parents actually got him an apartment for him to go to high school in, just so it could be easier for him to get to and from school. Like that's just different,
That
right?
is different.
I mean, and it came with the understanding that as Caleb relays this story, is that like I was there to go to school, go to practice, you know, be about football because that's what my dream was. And you know, it I don't want to put too much on the dude, but when you start thinking about what it is you just said, like dudes that just want to be great, they're different from the rest of us, and the regular people, the average ones, they attack that sometimes and they try to bring that down. But you know, there's not a lot of average quarterbacks or average baseball players or average athletes in general who are coming from that sort of background, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, you was a part of the military or in the
Yeah.
military, so you understand planning better than most. And I think, you know, Caleb said he wanted to be something, and his father
Yeah.
or parents had the means to make
Right.
that happen, and they put a plan together. So, you know, kudos to them, you know. And I think the difference between like Caleb and a lot of people in his position is that Caleb has the drive to go along with it. Like,
Right.
you can put all the money you want behind it, but if they don't want to be there, or they don't have the drive to accomplish their goals, then it don't matter. So
That's
you
true.
got to give credit to Caleb for actually, you know, sticking to what he said his dream was, you know, and
Yeah.
that's and the kid living it, you know, and that's one reason why I'm excited about him. I think he has a great mentality, you know what I mean. I like how he carries himself, you know.
I do as well, and I think you're 100% right in that. Look, I won't say it's unique to Caleb Williams' parents because there are a lot of parents who do those types of things for their kids athletically, give a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of whatever it is. But you got to be able to have the talent to match it, right? There's not a lot of Caleb Williamses out there in any sport. So yeah, you're right. For him to actually stay on the path to follow through with the commitment and to get to where he's at right now, I think that speaks to obviously Caleb Williams, but also to his family who was there to support him. And, through Oklahoma and then eventually to USC and now to where he's at in Chicago. And so that's where we're at. What'd you take
Yeah.
away from him being, I this, what did you take away from him being named as a captain?
Honestly, I wasn't shocked. I mean, from everything we hear, he's a likable guy. He's approachable. He works hard. Um, he wants to be great. All he cares about is winning. So I wasn't shocked to hear that he would, be named captain. I probably would be more concerned if he wasn't named captain, to be honest. So I
Yeah,
wasn't too shocked.
I was only shocked with the fact that they named 8 captains. Like, I don't, I
Yeah,
don't,
that's kind of a lot, when you think about it.
yeah.
You know.
I mean, you got 53 guys on the team. Like an eighth of them are basically, well, no, a seventh of them are captain. I think that's just kind of weird. Like, I don't know if they're just trying to do one at every position group, but yeah, you want your quarterback, and I give that. I hear exactly what you're saying. It would be probably a bigger story if he wasn't. But yeah, when the Bears announced 8, I'm like, come on, man. We're at this era where everyone's just like they're reducing the meaningfulness, in my opinion, of what that term means. Because I've never been on any team. I played sports. I played baseball in college before the Army, and we didn't have 8 captains. We had 1. All right, so
Oh yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I don't like to, I like to call them participation trophies. I don't
yep.
like to participation trophies.
Yeah.
I just think to me, look, I don't know. Of course, I don't know Flus, but it looks like he's the type of guy to kind of, just do things differently. Like he marches at the drum and saying like, because some things he do, I see a lot, especially on Hard Knocks. Some things he do, I see a lot of people complaining about it. And maybe he's just a kind of off-brand guy. He gonna do what he want to do. So
Yeah, that's a good transition because I think the first year, I think he had it rough, and I think it was kind of expected. And like I said, you came into a situation where you're not going to win. You're in the middle of a complete tear down and rebuild. I thought he was very uncomfortable in front of the microphone. He was the opposite in terms of Nagy. I thought Nagy was very comfortable as a speaker in front of the microphone. He just didn't say anything. He just said a bunch of words, but he was comfortable. And so, that first year, Eberflus looked like he was not. And then last year, I thought he grew. He grew along with it. And then obviously this year, it's night and day. We'll see how it goes once the games start because, you can do a lot of image, deconstruction or reconstruction in the offseason. But again, nobody cares come Sunday, week 1. You're the winner, you don't, right? And that's kind of the I think that's what makes the NFL what it is that every week's the sense of urgency is there. It's not like baseball where you got a game every day, just about, right? You're gonna play for 6-7 months.
yeah,
Football is, it's a very long season, but it's 1 game a week, and if you don't win, well, you're on the hot seat, basically, right? So I am curious to see how Eberflus maintains this team because I think we've got expectations now. And so that leads me into my first question really about the Bears is what are your expectations?
I pegged them for 10-7, 11-6 season. That's kind of my expectations.
Okay.
Caleb Williams, he said he's not ducking anything. He wants
Yep.
the pressure or the responsibility. So, I'm gonna roll with him. I'm not gonna be overly harsh to him, his rookie season.
Yeah.
But I have a big thing with if you talk the talk, you gotta walk the walk. So if he said he expects great stuff, who am I to think differently?
I think you made a good point. And it's going to be hard for a lot of people, especially going back to the Justifier crowd, who are not happy that Fields isn't here any longer with this team that's been built around Williams. But I think you're right. Like it's a rookie season, and I know we have expectations, but at the end of the day, he is a first-year player in the NFL, and he would not be the first #1 overall pick to come into the league with a ton of hype and to not live up to those expectations. So you're right. I think you gotta take a step back once the games actually start. It's good to have expectations. It's obviously good. Everybody wants the Bears to go 17-0. But we got to realize what we're watching. And we're watching a first-year quarterback with in my opinion, I think they have a really good team around them. So that's going to help. But at the end of the day, still week 1 coming on Sunday, and it's still his first game in the NFL. So fortunately, it is the Tennessee Titans and not the Kansas City Chiefs. So we don't have to, And again, I don't say that to marginalize the Tennessee Titans, but I think it's probably the best spot for Caleb Williams to be put into is to have a home game against a team who's largely rebuilding as well.
Yeah, I mean, I expect Caleb to do well.
Mhm.
I just think people have to understand, like, yeah, it's gonna be some bumps in the road, but I mean, it's bumps in the road for every quarterback. I mean, I think what was that, the 2022 season? I think Patrick Mahomes had like 3 interceptions in one game, and
Yeah.
I'm not saying Caleb is Patrick Mahomes. I'm just saying every quarterback goes through
Yeah.
adversity. So,
Mhm.
you know.
I mean, and Mahomes, we already know Mahomes never even played his rookie season to the final game. He took over
Yeah.
in year 2. So we don't have that luxury, which is I think is a good thing because I am of the mindset if you don't have anyone worth it in front of you, then the quarterback should be playing. So yeah, I think he was in a great spot. I think they did the right thing by trading Fields and giving him the chance, and I also think they're doing the right thing with keep it with Tyson Bagent. What have you thought about him when he's been in there, and then like the hard knocks that you've seen about him? I don't really care about his dad. Like his dad's entertaining, but I don't think that has anything to do with football. So
I'm a fan of Tyson because
yeah. Oh my.
I always like to, kind of root for the underdog, and the fact that this kid was not drafted, and the fact you've seen him, like, I think his first year or coming into his first year, he was basically running the plays with his high school buddies on his high school field or whatever. I
Mhm.
thought that was pretty cool. So, I'm a fan because, man, it takes a lot to not be drafted and to fight your way over guys who were drafted, because a lot of times they get more looks than you get. They get some favoritism and all that because they
Yep.
was drafted. So it takes a lot to overcome that. So, I appreciate his growth, man. I'm not gonna act like he's more talented than Justin Fields was or anything like that, but I appreciate what he does, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, I mean, I think talent eventually weighs out, but I think what you see between him and a lot of others at the quarterback position, as my cat goes and does crazy shit, is he's just got that mental aspect of it. And I think that's what a lot of quarterbacks fail to have or to fail to build upon when they get to the
mm,
NFL, where everyone can do everything. Everybody's an athletical or an athletic freak. Everybody's fast. Everybody can get to the point that you think you're going to quicker than you. So if you don't have that mental ability, it kind of neutralizes what you can do athletically. And I think that's what we've seen with a lot of quarterbacks at that position is, guys can do great things in college when they have the most talent on their team with them. Or the ones who tend to become better in the NFL are the ones like a Bajan, like a Brock Purdy, the guys who are constantly struggling, who don't have the best teams, who are constantly in positions of adversity every week because they are on teams with lesser talent and they know that they have to perform at a higher level to either be equitable on the field or to come out on top. So I think that's been the best thing about watching Bajent. And he's not going to be there forever. I think at some point he'll earn a starting job because there's just not enough good. I mean, look at Gardner Minshew. That guy's been playing forever, and he's on like what, a 16 that he's a starter as. He's starting for the Raiders this year. So I think you'll see Bajan as a starter somewhere at some point in the season, or not in the season, but in his career. Um,
yeah, I think at some point you'll see him be a starter. I think, Beijing, his mentality is like he's always trying to get better, working to get better. I think he said on Hard Knocks, like him being a career backup is really not
yeah,
how he see his career. So,
yeah, and you want to
I
hear that?
yeah, I like him. I think he's in a perfect position right now where he kind of gets to sit and learn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to be honest, I think it's gonna sound weird to say, but I think him actually sitting behind Caleb is gonna help him a lot because Caleb has some stuff that's just not really teachable, like his pocket awareness, his
Yeah.
ability, to feel pressure and just do little subtle things like slide his feet and avoid the pressure to make throws is man, that's pretty special, and he get to learn from that. So you know,
I just wanted to translate, man. Like this is tough. Like I'll be honest with you, and I don't know how long. I know you said you've kind of went from a casual to a more of I guess not a serious, but a more crazy Bears fan like the rest of us. But man, it's I've gone into every year probably I want to say 2001 was when we first got like NFL Sunday ticket, right? Like, so I'd go over to my parents' place and we'd watch the Bears. And no, actually, I'm not gonna lie, it was 2004 because I remember the Bears were 5-11 and they had just drafted Anthony Thomas as running back, and he was the only thing worth watching. And I think it was Lovie Smith's first year.
A train,
A
A
train
train,
from Michigan,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah, Anthony Thomas. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I think that was but I've gone into every year just like let's go. And this is the first year where I would think everything would have me continue to do that. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna finally be pragmatic. I'm not gonna go in there with the hype. I just want to see them play good. And I want to see Caleb Williams actually be the guy. Because you know this, you live there. The Bears have never had a prolonged period with a dude. And they've never really drafted one outside of going back to what, McMahon, but he couldn't stay healthy. Like, so they've had more quarterbacks in my lifetime than probably I am years old. Like, it just, it really doesn't make sense that the Bears, being the charter franchise of the NFL, have never truly had a prolonged great quarterback. Like, they've never thrown 30 touchdowns. They've never done 4,000 yards. There's so much that they've never done, and you're like, how is that even possible? So yeah, for the first time, I'm gonna just kind of watch every game, and I'm just gonna, well, you'll see me on Twitter. I don't know how patient and peaceful I'll be, but I'm gonna do my best.
Well, I think you with majority of Bears fans in the fact that like they got emotional damage when it comes to the quarterback position. So I can understand, not being overly hyped or pumped about it. But with Caleb, man, it's just something different. I don't know.
I agree.
It's like when I watch, when you see an elite player at any sport, it's like they just jump off the
Yeah.
screen at you.
Yeah.
It's like, man, wow, I'm seeing something different.
Mhm.
And to me, that's how Caleb kind of makes me feel. It's like when I'm watching him, it's like, man, it's something different. Like it's a preseason game, but even against the Bengals when he struggled, it's like most kids would or most rookies would be like, all right,
Yeah.
I done messed up. You know what I mean? Like this game ain't going right. It's messed up. I'm having technicalities with my technical
Yeah.
issues with
Yeah.
my headphones. Like it's a bad day. I'm gonna throw it all away. But you can tell, like in his mind, he's never out of it. Like I'm gonna make something happen. Like yeah, everything not going right now, but I can turn this around within the snap of a finger. Like he's different in that way as far as like the belief he has in himself, which causes me to have a lot of belief in him because he really thinks he's that dude, and it's not like he's not being phony about it, or it's not no fake
Yeah.
bravado. It's real. Like he really believes he is him. So that's what give me a lot of hope, man. I think he gonna be that guy. I think the Bears got one, to be honest. You
No,
know, I would be willing to
oh,
place a nice bet that he's gonna be that.
no, I agree. I've told my dad this because he hasn't watched the Hard Knocks, but I've told him like, look, from what I've seen, You know, he is the opposite of what has been there in the last two iterations of the Bears quarterbacks. I think, you know, they've been trying. Let's not fault the Bears for trying. We can all go back and play revisionist history with Pace with the Trubisky pick. And I remember where I was when that happened. I was not a happy person. Because I wanted Deshaun Watson. But I mean, we could fast forward and think, hey, either way, the Bears would probably be moving on from that, right? Because maybe they don't keep him.
Yeah, I
Especially not in
mean,
Chicago. I don't think they would have kept him if he had those same issues in Chicago.
I don't know, not with the Bears organization.
No, not with the McCaskies. I don't. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I wanted, to be honest, I wanted Watson, or I forget it. I think it was it a DB in that draft? Or I think I wanted. I can't think of the guy's name, but it might have been
it might
it
have been.
was either.
The only reason I thought that maybe with going with what you're saying is because they signed Mike Glennon, and you're like, all right, they're not going to draft a quarterback. Maybe if they do, it'll be later. Because why would you
Yeah,
give? They gave Glennon starter money, so it's like, why would you draft some dude and then you draft? You move you. What they did to move up one space is what blew my mind that night. Like that's.
I was a defensive tackle I wanted, but he
Oh
turned
yeah,
out not to.
the dude the Niners ended up getting. Trying
Yeah, but he turned out not to be.
Oh yeah, he didn't either. Yeah.
Yeah, not to. Yeah, so, but yeah, I thought if they was to take a quarterback, that it would be Deshaun Watson, because I'm gonna be honest, you watch Deshaun in college,
It was
and
ridiculous.
he was
Ridiculous.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you heard what his coach said. I think
He
his
said
coach
he was
said
Jordan.
said he was Jordan. Yeah. And then when you watch him against the Bills in that playoff game, I mean, he kind of was Jordan. You know, if
Yeah.
you can say one guy, which is impossible really to say in football,
Yeah.
won you a football game, you can say Deshaun Watson won that game for the Texans against the Bills that year in the playoffs.
Mhm. It's wild, man. Like it really
Yeah.
is to see what and then to see what happened. Like that's why I said like he wouldn't be with the Bears. Either way, they'd be in this position.
Oh
I mean,
yeah, the McKees, yeah. They don't even want cursing
I know.
on the Hard Knocks. So yeah,
But
you know.
I thought about that and I'm like, okay, I get it, right? Like if they're trying to make it accessible and you know they want to have it available for kids to watch, I got it. I'm cool with that. I don't really care that much, but yeah, it's definitely been a different version. And until that actually came out, I honestly didn't notice. The only thing I noticed that was there was that big fight that was reported, but they never showed it. Like that was
Yeah,
the one thing. Like the language, I don't care about. You can, it is what it is. But for them to cut that out, I thought was kind of silly. Like, I mean, that's what's you're supposed to be showing what's going on with the team, and you can spin that a million ways. You don't have to just cut it out completely.
yeah. Well, you know, they have like
And
the Bears organization is kind of different in a way. Like they the charter franchise, so they have this standard they want to live up to, and I don't have any issues with it, because I think people should have standards, and whatever their principles is, they should stand on it. So I don't have any
I
issues.
think they finally got the right people there as well, though, with Ryan Poles. Like, the more I see him, the more I think like he's bringing over whatever they did in Kansas City, and I think he's doing it now here in Chicago, and I honestly feel like for the first time with a general manager that they're going to do something pretty special in Chicago. Like I don't see what they could have done better in the 3 years he's been there to bring in the players he's had to put that team around Williams as the number one pick to build that defense. And really the only thing that I just come back to that may be some sort of a weakness is the lines, both sides. But everywhere else, man, they're just because you can't have a perfect football team. That's just not how the NFL's set up. Someone's got to be weak somewhere. It's just how they play together as a team, right? And how the
Yeah.
coaching. I just
If you get the most important position right, which is the quarterback
quarterback.
position,
Yeah.
it'll take you a long way. I mean, because we seen years where Mahomes' line wasn't necessarily perfect, his old line, and he still made it to the Super Bowl. He lost to Tom Brady
Also, yeah,
against the
lost to the
Buccaneers.
Bucks. Yeah, because that
But and you
line,
seeing also where what's my man Joe
Joe
Burrow, where
Burrow.
he
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
he made a Super Bowl where his old line wasn't
yeah.
perfect. He ultimately lost the Super Bowl as well. But if you got you a good quarterback, man, you can go a long way, honestly. Like a good quarterback takes you a long way because it's the most important position in football. So
Look who's around him, man. Like, come on. DJ
yeah,
Moore and Keenan Allen, and then on top of that, you just draft Roma Dunze. Then you've got DeAndre Swift in that backfield.
yeah.
I'm just like, there's no reason that the Bears offense it has to be top 10. It just has to. Like, I don't see how it can't be. It's top 10 before they even put Williams out there, just in personnel alone.
Oh yeah, I think they're gonna do fine. Like I
Oh
say,
yeah,
I think
and then we get the Cole. Like, they've got a stud at every position.
oh yeah, the Bears gonna be fine. I get it. I know why most Bears fans are nervous. Like it's the struggles. You know what I mean? Like you know,
I'm not
but
gonna. I think one of the, like I toyed with the idea, but I'm not gonna do it. Like I really legit thought about flying up to Chicago just to kind of be in the city for the first game, but I'm gonna use my better judgment and I'm just gonna stay here and sit on my couch and you know drink
I
beer.
think the city is gonna be it's gonna be nuts in the city. I believe that.
Yeah, what is the vibe? You're there. What's the vibe everywhere? What
No,
is it?
I'm actually not. I'm not in the city either. So
Oh, okay.
I'm not there. So but I thought about it as well flying there, but I decided not to. I actually looked at the ticket prices for that game, and I was like, whoa, that's how you know the excitement.
Yeah, I decided I'm not going back to any more NFL games. I mean, I just never going to do it. Not in person. Just it's so the last game I went to, and I will rest on that was it was the December 2019 when it was the Thursday night game, Bears against the Cowboys, where the Bears blew the fucking doors off of Dak Prescott and the Cowboys, and Mitch threw 3 touchdowns. I'm gonna leave it. That's where I'm gonna leave it at. I'm never going back to an NFL game. I'm gonna just because I can't top that, right? So, and I honestly, Bears fans were great, but like when I've gone, I remember taking my dad to a Bears Falcons game in Atlanta on Sunday night football in Atlanta, and it was the worst fucking experience. Like the fans are just absolute awful people. Just they're just drunk, just the worst language. Like I'm like, where's my dad, man? It'd be one thing if it's just me. I'm just like, oh yeah, okay. There's a bunch of people. It's like, come on, man. I don't want to be around that at this point in my life. I'm just too old for it. And then I told you my whole family's Eagles fans. Other than that, and yeah, those are a different type of breed, man. So I'm good.
Oh yeah, yeah, they booed. They'll boo anybody in Philly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then when I was out, like I spent, 6, almost 7 years out in California before I moved out here. I mean, tell you what, the Eagles and the Raiders and Niners fans are the same people. Like there's Raiders East and Niners East, and then there's Eagles West. They're the same people. They're very, very odd individuals that are football fans of those teams because their baseball fans are great. Oakland A's fans are great. Phillies fans are great. Giants fans, as I am one of them, but Giants fans are fucking awesome people. Like, but the football fans, man, I don't know what it is. It's just like they are.
Well, with the Raiders, it's kind of like they owner kind of, you know,
Mark Davis.
not where I'm talking about his father. They, you
Oh, the
know,
A's.
yeah,
Yeah,
the Raiders. He kind of promoted that type of behavior. You know what I mean? So Al Davis was different. So
Davis. Yeah,
he was a different individual. He the one came with that motto: just win,
just win,
baby.
baby. Just win.
Yeah,
All
so
right. Let's do that. Let's do this transition, right? So you mentioned that your first, like you're a baseball guy and you're a White Sox fan. I see in your bio. Yeah. How's that going for you this year, man? It's
the
tough.
White Sox are horrible. But I knew they would be horrible. One thing about me is like I'm not a delusional fan. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I kind of keep it real about all my teams. So I've actually said, before the season that the White Sox would lose I
They
said 120 games. So,
you thought they would be this bad with that? I mean,
oh
they've got
yeah,
some
yeah.
dudes on that team though.
Oh no, when you got a manager, well, he's fired now, but
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
Pedro Grafal was kind of weak. He wasn't a leader of man, and to be honest, the White Sox organization has kind of ushered in bad culture over there, where they kind of make excuses for players, and they give them excuses not to play hard. Oh, your hamstring sort of day. You don't have to run, the bases hard,
Eloy
and
Jimenez.
you don't have to beat out infield singles. So, when you are accepting of that type of culture, this is what you get. Now you have an organization that has a losing culture. So I kind of expected this season to happen.
So what do they got to do to turn that around? I mean, that organization has a ton of history. They've been a World Series champion within the last 2 years, or not last year, the last 2 decades. Like they've won. They won 93 games. What 3 years ago? 4 years ago? 3 years ago, I think it was. And now they're on the verge of being literally the worst team in the history of baseball. Like
Yeah,
that is wild to me. You know what I
yeah,
think it
man.
is? I think it's the curse of who was the shortstop that got knocked out last year?
You talking
Tim
about Tim Anderson?
Anderson. It's the curse.
uh, to be honest, I was a fan of Jerry because Jerry got 7 championships. Don't get me wrong, Michael Jordan is responsible for 6 of them, but he's an owner with 7 championships. So I kind of was not a fan of him, but really didn't take too much slander. But I think the whole organization needs to change from the owner all the way down to the players. Like I think honestly, it needs the organization need a rebuild, not just the team. The organization itself needs a rebuild. You know, and I don't think that's gonna happen. So I think they're gonna be bad for a long time. I don't see them getting better anytime soon. To be honest with you, I don't see it changing within the next 5 years. To
Well,
be
I
real.
mean, so what do they do with Chris Getz? Because there's a lot of out, I guess. Nobody was really excited to have Chris Getz take over as GM. They didn't think it was something that he deserved or earned. And
But he didn't earn it. You know what I mean? So that
well, that's what I'm
that
saying.
speaks
Like,
to
so are you? Do you just who's going to fire everyone? Is it going to be Jerry?
no, he needs to be fired. So they need a new owner, and the owner needs to implement, his guys in there. It's kind of like, how Hose came in and he was like, you know what? I'm just finna burn the whole thing down.
Yep.
A lot of people didn't understand it, right? At the time, think about it. You had
You just drafted
you
Justin
had the
Fields.
yeah, you had the guard, Daniels. People kind of loved Daniels a little bit, thought he could be good. He
Mm-hmm.
got rid of him. Khalil Mack was out of there.
Yep.
Just look at all the guys he got rid of. Like he understood, like he needed a whole entire
The
culture change.
linebacker. Who was the linebacker they traded to the Ravens?
You talking about Roquan?
Roquan
Yeah,
Smith. Yeah. Yep.
yeah, Roquan
Yeah.
Smith.
No,
So
you're right. You got rid of popular dudes and like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you
And that's what you need. Like
have to. Yep.
winning is about a culture. You like I say, you can speak to it better than me because you was in the military. That's why, I assume, I like to kind of study people brains a little bit. I assume when you go to the military, the reason you have what basic training is so they can break you down
Mhm.
and build you back up. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what the White Sox need. They need to be broken down and then build back up. You know what I mean? That's where they at.
It
Sadly.
is. Yeah, that's tough because I mean, yeah, I told you like yeah, I listen to a ton of Chicago sports radio. Like that's kind of my jam. And yeah, they're hard on the White Sox, and they should be. They're hard on the Cubs too, but I think the Cubs have a little more positivity, somewhat. But yeah, to see how the White Sox have been talked about the last 2 years, and it's just now I don't know this, and you say you're not in the city anymore, but you would probably still know better than myself, is that the perception in the Chicago media, sports media, is that Jerry doesn't really care that much. He knows people are showing up. He knows he's won before 7 times, as you pointed out, altogether between them and the Bulls. So what's the sense of urgency to fix it?
They don't have any. You know, when you got to think Jerry is good at like advertisement, stuff like that. You know, he gets people excited, throwing out little gimmicks here and there. You
Twenty
know,
dollar
but if you
chocolate shake that they
yeah,
had.
yeah, stuff like that. You know, and that's one reason why Chris Sale, who pitches for the Braves now, one reason why he wanted out of there because he was like, hey man, this organization ain't about winning. So he went up and cut up jerseys and stuff like that. But you know, just look at both of his organizations, the White Sox and Bulls, is in turmoil right
Yeah,
now. So that
I
tells
mean,
you a lot, you know. So
but so that's weird though, because I mean, we go back to Jordan, right? He owes 6 of those to Jordan, and then I mean, he did get Pippen. We can give him credit for Pippen,
yeah, he
but
got Pittman.
um, but yeah, I mean, we got to be honest though. The Jordan era was a long time ago, and then they kind of got snake bit a little bit with Derrick Rose, because he was always injured, and then ever since then, I mean, they haven't really done much, and they've overpaid for really average players. In my like, who's the dude? Zach, what's his name? The dude that they gave the max contract to a few years ago, just is known for dunking and winning dunk championships. What's that dude's name? Because I don't really pay attention as much anymore, but I know who the dude is. Who's the guy? He was just look this up. Chicago Bulls. Zach. I think it's Zach. Yeah, Zach Levine. Come on. Uh-oh. I lost him. Let me see where he goes. Let me get back to participants. See if he comes back in. But yeah, so I was talking about Zach Levine, and that's a guy that they gave max dollars to, and let me see if he's joining back in here. See if I can you hear me? Let's try that. Let's see, hops back in to the participation. Yeah, you gotta unmute, my friend.
You hear me now?
I can hear you now. So I found out who I was talking about. It's Zach Levine.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
so they gave max money to Zach Levine, who was never healthy. And then all I remember him kind of the last time I was ever really into watching the NBA was he was a dunk champion. Like he was never someone you would like that's what I don't understand about the NBA. And if you're an NBA, are you an NBA fan?
Yeah, that's my third kind of favorite
Okay.
sport.
But this is my issue with the NBA, right? This is kind of the thing that's really bothered me about the NBA and how it's evolved, is that they pay good players like everyone's LeBron James or Michael Jordan. That's what I don't like. That's what I think has ruined the league. Because if you're going to say someone has to get a max contract, then nobody's really deserving of it, right? Because we can say what we want about the argument between LeBron James and Michael Jordan, and I'll always come out on the Michael Jordan side, but I am not dumb. I can
Me
respect,
too.
right? I can respect that LeBron James is the best of his era. But
Hmm.
if 30 guys in the league are getting paid like they're also the best in the era, who clearly aren't, then how is that justifying me watching this team when LeBron James can be put just about anywhere and turn them into a winner? You can't put Zach Levine and some of these other guys who've been given max dollars just because of what they put up a 24 point per game season. Like that's somehow justifies them being paid 60, 57 million dollars a year. Like I don't understand that and what the NBA has become in that regard, because like you, I grew up with the Bulls era. Like I was a Jordan fan. I loved watching Jordan in his era, and what this league has kind of become is just it's very average players who put up a good season here and there get paid as if they are a Jordan, and I think that's kind of ruined the league.
Yeah, I'm how can I put this? Well, I never was a Zach LaVine fan at all.
I
Um
don't know anyone who's a Zach LaVine fan. That's my point. Like I've never heard anyone be like, "Oh, I'm a Zach." Like I don't know anyone who's that. I
I
don't.
don't want to be rude, but I kind of think he's basketball illiterate. Like I just don't think he's smart basketball wise at all.
And he
So I
doesn't need
never
to because they're going to give him 40 million a year anyway. So like, what's the motivation?
and I think kind of because people a lot of people don't like when I say this, but it's my truth. So I think analytics kind of has ruined basketball, just like I think baseball took analytics too far as well. You know what I mean? So anytime you have a fast break, nobody's at the rim, and you decide to come down and hoist up a 3-point shot, which is a lower percentage shot. Well, this is why I don't understand analytics either, because a 3-point shot is a lower percentage shot than a layup or a dunk.
But it's
And
worth
that's
more
what you
points, so
decide to
they have to use it,
do.
right? Yeah.
And that's what you decide to do on the fast break. You lose me. And then I just didn't understand the teaming up. You know, like I said, I come from that era of Michael Jordan where everything was competitive. You know what I mean? Where, Clyde Drexler, who
Yeah,
Michael
Clyde the
Jordan
Black.
didn't like, yeah, they had something to prove.
Yeah.
They all wanted to be the man on their team and not team up and go to somebody else's team. So to me, that's those two things what ruin basketball the most is guys not having the competitive nature and then uh also uh analytics, you know what I mean? And then it's a shame when the women's game, nothing against women's sports, but it's a shame when the WNBA is more physical than the NBA, you know what I mean? Not saying that basketball should be football, but I'm just saying you can't just allow people to just drive down the lane with no resistance, you know what I mean? Like it has to
Yeah, I
be
mean that
some
that's just another reason why I stopped. I haven't watched the NBA since 2018, to be honest with you. And I was out in Golden State, ever out in the Bay Area. Like I love those teams. I think the last playoff series I actually watched was the one where the Warriors lost to the Cavs and LeBron James came back from 3-1. Like that was the last, I think that was the last time I honestly watched the NBA. But it's kind of like what you just said. So let me go back though. So where do you think that mentality has crept into the NBA to where people wanted to team up, where they got rid of the ultra competitive nature? Where did that come from?
well, I think we're in a microwave era now anyway, you know what I mean? That's just in general in life. So, everybody want the perfect marriage, but don't want to work for the perfect marriage. Everybody want to be rich or wealthy, but don't want to work to be rich or wealthy. Everybody want to achieve things within a snap of a finger. So I think that's where it comes from is we just in a different era from my parents' era or your parents' era or their parents' era where everybody expect things to be kind of handed to them, overnight without actually putting any effort behind it. And sometimes I'm guilty of that. Sometimes
Oh
I
yeah,
like
we all
popping
are. We're
food
all.
in the microwave, so that's what it is.
But I do think it seems to be most prevalent though in the NBA, and I wonder if it's because the NBA is the smallest roster, where literally one, two players
Oh,
totally
well,
impact and affect the outcome of games, whereas baseball and football, it's a little bit more than that. It's more than one player.
I think with basketball it's kind of like the AAU too, because all these guys grow up playing together on the most dominant
Right.
AAU team, so they kind of transition that to the NBA. So I think like, to be honest, AAU has helped, but it also has hurt. It's kind of the good with the bad. It's the same thing with travel baseball. Travel baseball has helped, but it also has hurt. You know what I mean? So, and you got to think like AAU it's about you being seen as an individual. So it's travel baseball. Travel baseball is not really teaching the team aspect of sports. And now don't get me wrong, some organizations are, but it's mostly about showcases and you getting seen as an individual, which takes away from the team aspect of the game or the sport, rather. So
Does that go away? Or do you think that's kind of here to stay?
I think it's here to stay because it kind of allows the parents to kind of dictate, you know, things so if little Johnny is not good enough and he don't want to work hard to be good enough, if I got enough money, I can make it happen for him. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's going away anytime soon. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I still come back to because I guess the football version of that would be all this 7-on-7 stuff, and it's really geared towards the quarterbacks and receivers. But
Yeah, I think football. Okay, so football, you starting to see it just with the quarterbacks, man. So in football, you starting to see, and this is nothing against Caleb or anybody. In football, you starting to see where majority of your quarterbacks come from great situations. Majority of the time their parents are kind of wealthy or they have some type of money because they can pay for those
Mhm.
private lessons. They can pay for them to get into those camps. So you starting to see it a little bit in football, but it's just more at the quarterback, position.
That's fair. Would you say though that actually helps that position, or do you like? So where do you come out on that? Is what I guess because
So
there's a dichotomy. I think there's only one real example currently of a superstar level quarterback, and that would be Lamar Jackson, who didn't have that, but his athletic ability has carried him to where he's at, and he's been able to somewhat evolve. I mean, he's a two-time league MVP, but he's still not Patrick Mahomes.
yeah, he don't have a he's not there passing wise, I would say, as far as
No,
like
right.
products and everything. Um, so I'm gonna be kind of a hypocrite on this. I think it's good, but I also think it's bad because what's gonna happen is you're not gonna have too many more Lamar Jacksons. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's kind of gonna go by the wayside a little bit, or Anthony Richardson
That's
because
yeah.
he
I was
didn't.
gonna say he's the only comparable one, but I don't think
Yeah,
he
because they
wasn't.
didn't
He
have it.
didn't have Lamar's success in college. I think he benefited
No.
from Lamar being there because if it wasn't for Lamar, I don't think he gets drafted.
Well, that's an excellent point. And I also think like it helps because those guys are becoming more skilled faster, I would say, but it hurts because they're not really developing the
Yeah.
team aspect of the
Yeah.
game. You know what I mean? So skill wise, they better. Skill wise, this is some of the best we ever seen. Now, don't get me wrong, Dan Marino was skilled and John Elway was skilled. You know what I mean? Like you had those guys, but I'm just saying you seeing more of them faster, and also they're playing faster. They're not sitting a year for the most part, or 2 years, or what I mean, whatever, sitting learning the system and all
Yeah.
of that. They coming right into the league playing. So it's bitter. Is you got to take the bitter with the sweet, as they say. So it's
I
kind of
mean,
bitter.
and that's why, man. I don't want to keep coming back to Justin Fields, but that's why I'm just like I'm really surprised it didn't work out. And it clearly didn't work out in Pittsburgh yet either, because if he couldn't beat out he couldn't beat out Wilson. It's I mean Justin Fields to me will go down as the most perplexing draft pick I think in the history of the Bears because that dude had everything in his favor coming out of college. And for it to not work, it's just especially going off of what we just said, like what we've seen. Like I thought he was the better Lamar Jackson. Like that's what I thought he would be. Like he was bigger, he was faster, stronger.
Stronger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stronger, like everything. But he's not a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson. And
Uh, so here's like I don't think I'm gonna be honest. Knowing what I know now, I don't think he should have been drafted as high as he was. I'm not going. He should have
really,
been drafted, but I don't think he should have been drafted as high as he was because one thing like in baseball, so I always go back to my baseball,
Let's go.
one thing about what I learned in baseball, right? And this is starting from little league all the way up into college. So in little league, right? Normally the guys who dominate are the ones that hit puberty the fastest because
True.
they stronger, they
Definitely seen
faster.
that.
You know what I mean? Like those are the guys who dominated. And
Hey,
then
Chucky Ramos, if you happen to be watching this is you, my friend.
and then what tends to happen is eventually everybody hits puberty. You know what I mean? So
Right.
now it's about what type of work ethic you have, what type of skill set you build, how determined you are, how much you truly love the game, how much time you put into the game. And I think the difference between Lamar Jackson and Justin Fields, right? Justin Fields down in Georgia, when he went to Georgia, right?
Mhm.
Things didn't go his way. So he transferred out. You look at Lamar Jackson, everybody was telling him, no, you can't be a quarterback. This even coming out of uh, high school going into college. The only
Yeah,
reason he went to Louisville is because the guy promised his mother
yep.
that he would give him an opportunity at the quarterback position. So every step of the way, Lamar Jackson had to fight for what he's got. So he had to earn it. You know what I mean? Whereas, not saying that Justin Fields was giving everything, but he was giving more than Lamar was. And what I tend to learn in life is a lot of times people who's given a lot, they don't really appreciate it and they don't have the work ethic because they didn't have to earn it.
That's fair. That is absolutely 100% fair. All right, I got this theory I wanted to run by you because I really started developing it in the last couple months. And I think it's a lot of it is why I kind of really took a step back from the NBA, right? So the NBA, in your opinion, if I were to ask you, what do you need first in order to potentially be an NBA player? What's the first thing?
I'm gonna be honest. With the NBA is weird. I'm gonna say one of the most important physical attributes as far as when it comes to NBA is height, actually. You know,
Yes,
like
damn, nailed it. Exactly. Biggest barrier to the entry of the NBA is height, right? And that is why it excludes about, I want to say, I think, what was the last? I think I read somewhere that 93% of not just America, but the world's population is under 6 feet tall.
mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm right there. I'm in the top 7%, right? But guess what? I ain't tall enough to play basketball, and I can shoot, but I ain't a basketball player. So the NBA from the start is a hyper discriminatory sport. You have to be tall, and then from there we'll figure everything else out, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
Football, very specialized at every position, with the exception of quarterback, probably
Mm-hmm.
wide receiver, and probably cornerback. Everything else in between, it's it's a mix of physical size, height, linemen, right? Size, linemen, linebacker,
Yeah.
all of them. Like you running backs, you have to be, and then even quarterbacks, really. Let's be honest, Caleb Williams is probably on the low side of what people would physically want as a quarterback, but he's just
Yeah, he like 6'1". Yeah.
yeah, but he's
Mm-hmm.
very gifted, right? So that's going to hopefully
Gifted.
match up, right? Same with Patrick Mahomes, 6'2". He's at the bottom end. Everybody wants someone 6'4", 6'5",
Yeah,
right?
Kyler Murray, bottom end, Young,
Yeah,
bottom end.
yeah. And
Yeah.
they're able to do it because of their athletic. I mean, look at Kyler Murray. That dude was a first round pick in baseball. Like that's an athlete, right?
Yeah, he's an
Um,
athlete. Yeah.
yeah. So that's why outside of football, I come ultimately to baseball because baseball, none of those things I just said matter. You can have. Let me give you two MVPs. I can give you Jose Altuve, who's all of
Mm-hmm.
5'5". I've met him. He's barely
Mm-hmm.
5'5". And then I can give you Aaron Judge, who is a defensive end if he wanted to be, right, in the NFL. He's 6'7".
6'7".
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
both of them MVPs. But baseball, I come back, is the one sport, your race, your height, your size, none of it matters. It all comes down to, can you actually play the game? And none of those things really matter in any other sport with the exception of baseball. Anybody can play football. I can say, like, I can go say, I can find a bunch of people who can play football, but are you 5'8"? Okay, sorry. Anybody, I can go find a ton of, I can take, bro, I can shoot. I can find a ton of people who can play basketball. Am I 6'5"? No.
No.
Right. So I've really started to put that together over the last several months and realized, like, the reason I think I've loved baseball so much, and granted, I did play it, I played it through college, but every team is different. Every team comes together differently, but ultimately, no one cares about what the other person is so long as you can play. Can you play? That's it. And you can't, that none of that matters in the other sports until you meet the other physical requirements or entries or barriers to entry. Basketball, you gotta be tall, unless you're Steph Curry, right? And even 6'3" is pretty fucking tall.
Yeah.
Football, where you have to meet those physical height requirements, speed, all those things, right? It only comes back to baseball. Can you play the game? Don't matter where you're from. Don't matter your socioeconomic background. Don't care about your race. Don't care about your height. Can you play the game? That's it.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing about baseball, and I mess with my football buddies about this a lot. I say, football is a Neanderthal sport. But
yeah, you're right though, man. You're right.
but baseball is based on skill. That's why. You
Yep.
know, if you think about it, like baseball is about understanding angles. Baseball is about understanding, having footwork, having soft hands, having the ability to have good hand-eye coordination, having the ability to understand, distances as far as your throw, how much you should put on, how much you should take off, so it's a very skilled sport. When you look at basketball, I'm not saying there's no skill in those sports, but baseball just happens to be an extremely skilled sport because it's probably, with the exception of golf and
Yeah, golf's
I
another
may
good
be
one.
missing. Yeah,
Well,
it's
I mean, MMA,
probably
MMA is very hand-eye coordination based. Like I mean, be a
yeah,
good,
yeah,
you want to be a good
you know,
UFC fighter, you better be able to see and hit a punch.
yeah, you got it, yeah. But baseball is just it's an extremely hard sport to play. It makes the baseball can make an athletic guy look unathletic
Yes. Yes.
because
You
it's a
see it
skill
all the
sport,
time.
See it
Yeah.
all the time. Yeah.
Look at these dudes who come out from the NBA to throw a first pitch out.
Yeah. Look at Caleb Williams, who's a fairly athletic guy. Look at him trying to swing a baseball bat. You know what I mean? So it's a different baseball is a different beast. And I think honestly that's probably why Mahomes is so good at football because
His dad
if
was
you
baseball.
watch him, he plays the quarterback position to me
Like a
like a
shortstop.
baseball player.
Yeah, he plays like a
Yeah, like a
shortstop.
shortstop.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the same with Kyler Murray. Like he was a center fielder, and
Yeah.
he's not a very big dude. I mean, for baseball, he's at the low end as well. I mean, he's 5'9" as a center fielder, but he's fast and
Yeah.
he's got a fucking rifle for an arm. Yeah, I mean, look at Russell Wilson. I mean, I remember him being a
Yeah.
shortstop for the Yankees in the organization for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Look at
I
Deion
think.
Sanders. Deion Sanders, Bo
Oh
Jackson. I mean,
man,
you
man, we
know
can
what
go.
I'm
Yeah,
saying?
let's go back to that era where dudes were legit playing two sports at the
Just what?
at the height. Like Deion
At the
Sanders, people underestimate like what Deion Sanders did. Like they don't have no
yeah.
idea what that dude did. Like if someone was like Deion Sanders today,
Yeah.
oh man, that dude like didn't he play a football game and a baseball game in the same day?
And was a legit outfielder. It wasn't
Yeah,
like
like
he was a
and he
garbage.
was hit. I think he hit a triple that night for the Braves or something. Like
Yeah, for the Braves. Yeah, he hit a
that's
triple. Yeah. Huh?
Deion Sanders, in my opinion, was probably the best all-around athlete. I know people will say Bo Jackson, but you got to understand, like Bo Jackson was an athletic freak, and he was
Yeah, he was a
done in
freak.
by his injuries. But Deion Sanders was an all-star and an all-pro in two sports.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like you said, he was a legit outfielder, and if he wanted to, he could hit for power. Like he said it. He's like, okay, watch, and he went up and hit home runs.
Yeah.
But he was smart.
Yeah.
Like he's the fastest guy on the field. Why am I going to hit home runs when I can hit triples? Like, and
Look at the thing. Yeah. And steal bases and all
And
that.
still,
Yeah.
but yeah, like that's why, like Ricky Henderson, like that dude, people don't understand. Like, there's never, ever going to be someone like Ricky Henderson. Someone's like, oh,
No,
Eddie De La Cruz is stealing bases. He might steal 60. I'm like, bro,
no,
when they were both 22, which is what Eddie De La Cruz is right now, Ricky Henderson already had 319 stolen bases at 22 years old. Like,
yeah.
stop it. There's no such thing as another Ricky Henderson.
And
It's not happening.
and he was playing in the era of baseball where the pitcher can throw over as many times as
Yeah.
he wanted to throw over and hold the ball as long as he wanted to hold the ball. So
Smaller bases, everything. Yeah. And the dude still almost
yeah,
like came three short of hitting 300 home runs. Ricky Henderson was that dude was a beast.
yeah, he was a beast. No
And
doubt
he's only
about it. Rick,
5'10.
yeah.
5'10.
I mean, look at Mookie Betts. Mookie like
Yeah.
5'8" or something, you know. He's
Yeah. Yeah. Mookie's small. He's
yeah,
got a lot of power to him, but he looks small. Like Ricky never looked
yeah,
small on the field. Like that dude's
yeah,
leg. That dude
yeah,
looked like a running back, man. He was a big
yeah,
boy.
he did. Ricky was strong, powerful, compact. I mean, just in baseball, period, man. It's a very skilled sport, man. That's why I love it, man.
I'm with you.
I
I'm sorry.
love
You
going
gotta
to
watch
watch
the
guys.
White Sox.
Yeah, they suck, man. I don't.
Too, bro. Well,
It
fucking
pains
Dodgers.
me. It pains me, but
Oh,
it is what it is.
so here's where I'm at. So like I told you, I'm a Giants fan, and that their season's about over at this point. But
Oh man, that's a great organization, man. You living good. The Giants
no, no,
organization is, you
no, I
know,
love them. I absolutely love them. I would rather be them any day than the Dodgers and their fake ass title from 2020. That's now Dodgers haven't won since '88, and I remember because I was watching as a little kid and Kirk Gibson doing the stupid little fist pump around the bases. I know all that.
yeah.
But no, so I'm in the area to where I just pay attention to the AA team because the Richmond Flying Squirrels are right down the street. And so Bryce Eldridge, who's the number one prospect in the Giants organization, and probably should be in all of baseball. So he was the Giants' number one pick last year as an 18-year-old out of high school. He's 19 now, just got promoted to AA. So I went last night to watch his first game at AA, and like you go back to what you said. I think you just said before, you can just tell when people are different. That dude, I watched him walk up to the plate, 19 years old, 6'7", still obviously going to grow into who he is. But I'm just like, you know what? You just watch him walk up to the plate. That dude's already different than all other 21 people that were out there on that field.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm not 20.
But I mean, he wasn't even the number one pick in baseball,
No,
though.
he
That show
wasn't. He
you.
was like 13th, I think. Over, yeah,
Yeah,
and he
that
was a
show you how.
two-way player, and they were like, all right, we appreciate it, but you're not going to pitch anymore. We tried, but it's probably best that you're not Otani. Just focus on what you can do, and that's it. And he's a lefty,
Yeah, he's a
so yeah,
lefty.
man,
Yeah. I
that's the
think,
cool thing about baseball is just to watch this minor league system, man. Just I don't know if the White Sox got anybody coming up, but it is
well,
bittersweet.
they got a young lefty in Noah Schultz, and
Okay,
they got they got a young shortstop in Kosa Montgomery, but he had a bad
Colson Montgomery, yeah, I know that name.
season. That's why. And then the White Sox is in a bad situation, man. If I wish the White Sox was the Giants. I mean, the Giants got the greatest baseball player of all time, in
That's
my
true. And
opinion.
what's his name?
Willie May. Say hey,
Oh, I thought you were going to say Barry Lamar Bonds, but you're right. He's
I,
number one.
I,
They got the
I,
two greatest players of all time.
Barry Bonds is great, and I was a Buster Posey fan.
Yeah, hell yeah. Buster's
I
it.
was a Tim
And
Lincecum
Lindsey
fan.
Graham,
I
yeah.
liked the team. Yeah, the Freak.
The
I liked
freak.
the Freak. He was good. I remember y'all had Matt Cain, all those guys.
Matt
So
Cain never got run support. Guy just
yeah, yeah. Y'all had even Barry Zito from the
yeah,
A's came
Barry
over there.
Zito. He came over for a bit. Yeah, big Bay Area legend. Now he's like some
Yeah,
guitar hero, rock star guy. Yeah.
yeah,
They've always
yeah,
had really good players. I mean, they took Sean Dunston for a while from the Cubs. Kenny
yeah.
came
Yeah.
over for a while. Benito Santiago came over for a while.
Yeah.
JT
Y'all,
Snow.
y'all had Panda when he was good,
Yeah, Pablo Sandoval, and Jeff Kent was there for a
Jeff
bit.
Kent. Yeah.
Rich Aurelia,
Yep.
Matt
Yep. Yep.
Williams, who's the third base coach.
Yeah. Y'all had somebody off the White Sox. So Ray Durham was
Ray
over
Durham,
there.
yeah, another second base, Ray Durham, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I
They
think didn't
might have
y'all
been
have
decent.
Juan Uribe at one time too?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, I think y'all might have had one. Maybe not, cause y'all had Crawford at shortstop, so maybe not.
Yeah, Brandon Crawford came in 2010. That
Yeah,
first
yeah,
year. Yeah,
yeah.
the first year they won
And
that.
and I'm a guy who loves shortstop play because my
That's it.
favorite player of all time is Ozzie Smith, so
Yeah. Ozzie
Brandon
Smith.
Crawford was pretty smooth,
Ozzie
he's pretty
Smith, but Ozzie Smith, he's a dude that couldn't exist today at shortstop. You know why?
because he don't hit for power.
Right. And that's all they want shortstops to do as well, man.
Yeah,
You gotta hit for
mhm,
power. But yeah, Ozzie Smith, the wizard out there at the
the
field.
Wizard. Yeah, used
Yep,
to go
that
out
Cardinals
there
team was
backwards flips and stuff,
yeah.
so yeah. That Cardinals team couldn't exist in today's game because they didn't have a lot of power. They
Oh,
used
I
to
mean,
do it.
but baseball was so much different, man. Like it was pitching. Like you pitched back then. Guys don't pitch
Yeah,
anymore. They pitch five
baseball
innings.
was different back then.
Yeah, pitch five. That's why I say like I just watched this Greg Maddox documentary, but one of the best ones I saw about a year and a half ago on a flight was the Nolan Ryan one. Did you ever see that one? The Nolan Ryan documentary?
No, I never seen a Nolan Ryan dog.
Please check that out because not only do you obviously get to see how much of a freak this dude was, but this guy once threw I think 19 innings and 235 pitches in a game.
Hmm.
235 pitches.
Yeah,
And not okay, obviously he has the record for 7 no-hitters, but he's also got the record for the most one-hitters, two-hitters, and three-hitters in baseball. And you know what? This dude never won a Cy Young. Like, how fucking wild is that? Like, this dude was incredible as a pitcher. Incredible. Like, the only dude that would put remotely up to him in terms of just like absolute freak showness is Bob Gibson. Like they're the
yeah,
same guy.
Bob
Gibson just didn't
Gibson.
have the longevity, but like it's the same dude, just an
Yeah,
absolute physical freak presence. Like, yo, I'm gonna fucking strike
yeah,
you. You can't do nothing about it. But
yeah.
he
Bob
was on
Gibson,
shitty
that's my
teams.
favorite pitcher.
Is he?
That's
Yeah, Bob Gibson.
yeah, that's my favorite pitcher. Yeah,
Absolute beast. Like that dude, pure intimidation. Pure
he he
intimidation.
still has uh he still has the greatest season for a pitcher in the modern era. I think it
1.12
was
ERA.
it 1967. It was either 67 or 69. So yeah,
Yeah.
he's a
Different.
different dude, man.
He
He's a
was.
different guy.
But again, like I said, that is why I love that sport so much because again, nothing matters other than can you play? Don't care about your size, don't care about your race, don't care about what country, what language you speak. Can you play the sport? That's it. Whereas
Oh
every
yeah,
other one, there's all sorts of barriers to the membership in the club, and baseball is just different, man. So I'm glad
that's
you
true.
picked up on that though. Like most people, when I give them that question, like, "Hey, what's the one thing you need to be in the NBA?" They're all like, "I don't know. You got to shoot." Like that's not true. You got to be tall. You got to be
Yeah,
tall.
you gotta have a height. Yeah.
All right, man. I want your prediction for this weekend, Sunday. Bears Titans. What do we got?
I got the Bears winning 24-17 on this.
Ooh, you're gonna give them 17 points.
Yeah, I'm gonna give them 17. I think, you know, the openers are always kind of iffy. Like,
Oh
it's
yeah, yeah,
everybody still
yeah.
filling out, trying to figure out what's going on. And honestly, some guys, because how they do preseason now and training camp, some guys still trying to get in shape. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna give them 17. And I
Okay.
think the Bears score 24. I don't see too many games where the Bears don't put up at least 24 in a game, to be honest. So
No,
I
that's
think they'll be
fair.
yeah. I
And they were
think they'll
doing
be
that with a lesser quarterback.
yeah, they was doing that, yeah, with so I just think I think with I'm more concerned really my huge concern is really the D line.
Yeah.
I already know the back what's that, the back seven or whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah, the back seven is pretty solid as far as, the linebackers as
Oh
well.
yeah.
That would be the
I'm
back.
with Jalen Johnson and Jaquan Brisker back there, Kyler Gordon. I'm good.
Yeah,
Gonna
and
be
the
good.
linebackers, they solid, man.
No, they
You
are.
got so I'm just more, like, is Montez gonna be the only guy? So that's my question.
Yeah,
Like,
they picked up that dude. What was it, DeMarcus Walker? I think his name is from the Seahawks a few weeks ago.
yeah, and I like Austin Booker, but he's a
He's a
rookie
rookie.
though.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah,
rookie from well, not a small school, but not a huge
yeah.
program there at Kansas. But
And he kind of light too, honestly. He's a little
yeah, I
light.
mean, like I said, yeah, he's got room to grow. He's got room.
Yes. So
But
we gotta
again, that might help him with the speed, right? If he's just out
yeah,
there
that might
one or two
yeah.
plays a series, then he doesn't need to be. Montez Sweat's a different cat. Like that's just a big man.
I
Like
do like his effort though.
yeah,
I do like Austin's motor, I'll say. You
yeah,
know what I
no,
mean? Like,
he's he's motivated. Let's hope it stays.
yeah. But honestly, I think the Bears, so to give my full prediction, I think the first week I give them 24-17. I think I got them going like 10-7, 11-6 on the top end, and I think they make the playoffs as a wild card team. And I think honestly, they can be like, sort of contenders. And what I mean by that is they could be a threat in the playoffs. I just think, all teams had that where they have to learn kind of
yeah,
how to
absolutely.
win, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, look at the
uh,
Packers last year. Packers go on the road,
yeah,
set Dallas, but then you know make that
yeah,
mistake at the end, and now they're having to run it back and see if they can do it again. But no,
yeah.
I think you're right.
And I think people forget the last Bears team to go to the Super Bowl was at '06.
Oh
I
six.
think people forget the season before that they had to learn too. They had that crushing defeat in the playoffs, the year before that. So, teams got to learn to
They lose
to
to.
win. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Was it Seattle? No, it was the Panthers. It might have been the Panthers. It
yeah,
was either
no, you're
Seattle.
right. It was the Panthers because the Panthers came
Yeah,
to Chicago and fucking Steve Smith, that motherfucker.
yeah, Steve.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
who was that? Jake. God, what was
yeah.
that?
Jake the
Jake
home or something
Delhomme.
like
Yeah, that motherfucker. I
that.
remember. Oh, damn. I remember that one.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that
So
one up, man. Fucking Steve Smith was all over Charles Tillman on that game. Oh, that was
yeah,
awful.
yeah.
That was
He
awful.
took he took one from Charles Tillman that game. He took one from him.
Yeah,
So
he had like 218 receiving yards. Like that was, yeah.
yeah,
You don't see
so
games like that much these days. Damn.
yeah, so they gotta learn. So it's kind of like one of our rivals, the Lions. They,
Yeah, true.
so they gotta learn, and but I think Caleb gets the 4,000 yards. I think I pegged him in. A lot of people probably gonna be like, "Woo, that's a little high," but I got him pegged for about 30 TDs. I honestly don't believe he throws no more than 10 picks. I don't think he's gonna be a high interception guy like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I think you're right.
yeah.
Um,
So
Well,
I think
against the Titans, you know what? I'll go. I will see your 17 points that you'll give them because it is the NFL. But I will inflate the Bears score. I will give them 27.
okay.
I'm
I
gonna go
like it. So
27-17.
10 point win.
Yeah,
Okay.
I want to see some Cairo Santos and Torrey Taylor action out there at the hold and the kicking position, right? I want to see it. I want to see.
Everybody excited about the partner. Everybody
Yeah.
excited about the partner.
Exactly.
Okay.
Cairo Santos, he needs to get 6 points. Like he's going to get his six, well,
Okay.
just off of field goals at least. He'll get some extra points time as well. And then I think I'm gonna just try and keep it on. Look, the Bears won 7 games last year. I think they're a better team this year. I think they win 10.
Okay. How many TDs for Caleb this game against the Titans? How many
Oh, against the
touchdowns?
Titans, I'll give him 2.
You gonna give him 2?
I'll
Okay.
give him 2 in the air. Yeah, I'll give him 2 in the air. I don't want to give any
Two and
more.
a half.
I'll
Okay.
give him
Do
2.
Swift get a touchdown?
Is that guy alive? I haven't seen him on anything. Like I have heard one word about him. Like I have.
So
Yeah, no,
who
you know
do
what? I don't think he does. I think for some weird reason, because of just the spirits of the ferret have aligned with Velus Jones. I think for some reason he's going to get a play inside the 25 and he's going to turn it into the touchdown. That'll be the Bears' 3rd touchdown. It'll be 2 from the air, from Caleb Williams. It'll be 1 on the ground for Velus Jones Jr. And then Cairo Sanders will get 2 field goals.
And here's the other big question. Dude, the other rookie, Rome, do he get one of those TDs?
No.
No? Okay.
No. No, he don't
So you
even know where the end zone is, man. Come on.
so you give him both to Moore or one to
No,
Keenan
I
and Moore?
think one goes to Keenan Allen, and then I think one goes to Cole Kmet.
Okay, I can
Yeah.
see that.
I think we need to let Rome play a little bit. I think he'll probably end up with 6 for the year. He's got to compete with DJ Moore and Keenan Allen for targets. But in terms of the red zone, I think, man, it's got to be your 2 primaries. Got to be Keenan Allen and Cole Kmet. Like those dudes are just big.
Okay.
So
But yeah.
I mean, Rome's gonna do his thing, but yeah, he's gonna unfortunately he's gonna be the 3rd, sometimes the 4th option. Until he's not. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he shows out and just makes Keenan the 3rd option. But until then, I don't know. I don't think he gets a touchdown in week 1 though.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think Keenan is a red zone option, so it's Commit. You know what I mean? I think Moore probably be, used as a deep threat too. So
DJ Moore is
I
just
think,
that dude. Just throw him it. He's gonna catch it. It doesn't matter where it's
yeah,
going. That is one
he's
thing I
underrated.
give him credit for last year. Like he made Fields look even better sometimes. Like he just catches everything. He doesn't drop anything. Allen Robinson used to drop shit. But DJ Moore catches everything.
Yeah, and he's underrated to me.
For sure. And he's underpaid now. I'm gonna say it right now. He's underpaid, even though he just signed that deal. Like he is a good human being to do what he did for the Bears. I'll tell you that much. He could have definitely got more money. Seems like a good dude. Like watching all those guys on Hard Knocks, like they seem to have a team full of just like good human beings, which is nice to see because you don't always get that when you got 53 individuals on a team. Sometimes there's always a dirtbag.
Yeah, that's true.
They got some good people, so it's good to see. And then Rome, like let me go back to Rome and Dunze real quick. I think that is a very that's a good young man. Like that is a good dude. He's smart.
Yeah.
He's a physical freak, obviously, but like the one thing I keep coming back to is just every time I saw him or I've seen him talk in interviews, like that's a good human being. Like that dude. Just
he's a solid individual. Yeah,
he's gonna be a stud. Like his physical aspects like live up to all of his other things, his intangibles, his humanity. I think he's gonna be a stud. I think in 3 years he will be by far a top 5 receiver in the league for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Well, that's King Matt. You can find him on the X app, the Twitter app, whatever it is as you call him, or it is a Mac74 King, and I'm pretty sure he's tweeting this. What's that?
Can I give a shout out real quick?
Absolutely, brother. Give it a shout it all out. What do you got?
All right, yeah, you can see me on Twitter or whatever X is called now. Yeah, at King Mac. They call me King Mac on Twitter. Typing in, you'll see it, or Mac74 King, however you want to put it. And then I give a shout out to all my guys at the Bad Guy Radio. You can check them out. They do decent stuff over there, podcasting wise, streaming wise. And I'd just like to say thank you once again for putting me on the show.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it, and I had fun. So
I'm glad to hear it. And then you will find us hopefully having fun this Sunday when the Bears take on Tennessee Titans, 1:00 Eastern, 12:00 in the Shy. But yeah, thanks for joining us. There will be bourbon, and there's about to be more of it right here. All right.
All right.